Hi. So, I don't know what this video is about. I just have to do some stuff. I have to do my makeup because I have something that I need to do for work, and I don't want to look like this. I want to look a little bit better. So I'm gonna do my makeup and I'm gonna talk about some things that have been on my mind. So I don't know. I didn't really have a plan of what I wanted to talk about. I just felt like talking to you guys, my subscribers, all my bros. Follow me on Instagram because like we can like be friends on Instagram, you know what I mean? Lately I've been having people like message me on Instagram asking me like how to make skirts and stuff like that. Like what are some tips that I have to share about skirt making. So like if you want to follow me on Instagram and you can ask me anything, like I don't know, about skirt making and shit like that, or about anything, like I don't know. Sometimes people DM me on Instagram and I like talking to y'all, like we can be friends, right? Anyways, yeah, like that's cool. I have native friends from like different places, not just where I'm from. So follow me on Instagram. I wanted to maybe talk about like how like different things that people think about people from the res, because like I grew up on the res. I'm a fucking res girl till I die, period. But seriously, I live in a city now and I have for like quite a while. Like what the heck, how many years? I think I've lived here for like 5 years. I still feel like I kind of don't fit in with urban natives, but this video is not about urban natives, just FYI. Like I'm a little bit more resier and that's fine because I'm from the res. Like what the fuck. Of course I'll seem resi when I spend a huge majority of my life in the res. Like I have a res accent and I know it and I'm not afraid to use it. Just kidding. But yeah, like I have a res accent and like people sometimes they like make fun of me for my res accent, and like that's fine. I get it. Like I guess. I guess you can make fun of my accent if that makes you laugh, fine. But like I don't know. It just occurred to me like why the fuck are you making fun of my accent, you rude bitch? Just kidding. But like I do have res accent and it's fine because I like it. Like I like my res accent. I don't give a fuck what no one says.
Do I give a fuck? No, not one. How many fucks do I give? Zero. Exactly. So therefore your comment is irrelevant.
I like my res accent. So that's why I don't really care when people like make fun of me. Like I know when people make fun of me, they're not doing it to hurt my feelings. Like it just sounds funny. Like I fucking get it, okay? Sometimes it sounds funny. Sometimes I make fun of other people's res accents too. And like I don't mean to be rude, but like sometimes some of the words you say sound a little bit funny. And that's how it is for me, I guess. I also wanted to talk about like ridiculous things that people think about like the reserve, like res life and shit. Like not just urban natives. Like I don't think they would think this because like they obviously kind of like know what it's like on the res and shit like that. Like but non-indigenous people, some like myths I guess about reserves. um what was I thinking about earlier today? I had two things on my mind today about this. Like okay, there was one thing where I was in grade 7. I grew up in my res in Norway House, and I moved back and forth from the reserve to the city, I guess you can say, but like more so I was res girl. Like most of my life I lived on the res, but I did live here in the city sometimes. So like I guess when I was a little kid, like a little kid, like probably 2 years old or 1 years old, I lived out here in the city with my mom because my mom, she went to university. Yeah, like she went to university and she had me and my sister out here living with her, and like she was going to school and whatever, she was taking care of us, going to school and shit. But I don't know, for some reason she didn't finish university. She moved back to the res, probably because we were hard to take care of. But anyways, yeah, that happened. I moved back to the res from when I was like 2 years old, and I stayed there until I was in grade 7. So after I was done grade 6, I moved to the city with my mom and my sisters. And after we moved here, how old was I? I was like maybe grade 7, so I was like 10. I don't fucking know. I guess I was 10 or 11. However old you are when you're in 7th grade. Yeah, like we moved out to the city. It was really scary because like I was used to being in the res for the most part. I have a lot of family out here in the city. Well, I did. They moved. So like it's kind of just me out here now. But for most of my life, most of my family has lived in the city, and like basically only my family lived in the res. Anyways, what I was saying, so like yeah, all of that, I moved out here with my mom in grade 7 and grade 8. For those 2 years I lived out here, and it was kind of scary at first, to be honest. I didn't talk at all to no one at school. I guess I can make that a story time. When I first moved out here to Winnipeg, but not right now, that's not what we're talking about right now. I'll tell you guys about that later. When I moved out here to Winnipeg and whatever, and then like I did make friends eventually. Like I stopped being shy and I had friends here, and these guys, there was like, I was mostly friends with boys. Like I like, not to sound like a pick me, but I feel like all of my friends who were girls at that school, they were all older than me. They were like in grade 8, and the school only went up to grade 8. So, and I was in grade 7. So like the next year, all my friends were gone. And then most of the boys were my age. So like they were kind of the only ones that I knew, because it was one classroom and there was grade 7 and grade 8 in one classroom. So all of my friends who were in my class, they all went to like grade 9, and they went to a different school, and I didn't know any of the new girls. So like I was just only mostly friends with the boys at that point, because like I knew them already from the previous year. Oh, so I guess yeah, this happened in grade 8. Like we were all sitting at this table, me and my friends, and then I was probably talking about the res, because like I would go to the res during the summertime, and then I would stay in the city during like school time. Like we would always go home for like Christmas, summer, for like Christmas and summer, I guess. We never really went home for any other reason. But like yeah, when we weren't in school, we would always go back to the res. And I was talking about that, like I was like,
So, yeah, I went to the res this summer. I go there every summer. And yeah, that's my home.
and then they're like,
what do you do there? Like, do you have horses there?
I was like, what? I mean, like we don't have horses anymore, but we used to have horses in the res. So I was like,
Yeah, like we have horses, but like we don't ride them.
but we had horses, and they were like just random horses. Like they were kind of like fucking stray res dogs, but they were horses, and they would like roam around town doing shit, and like no one would really take care of them, and that's kind of sad for the horses. But anyways, they were like, do you have horses? I was like, yeah, I guess, like we have horses. And then like I didn't know what they meant by that, and then they're like, do you ride them? Like, do you ride them around? Like do you live in a house there? Do you ride your horse? So I was like, I couldn't comprehend in my mind that they thought we were living like old style, like riding horses into teepees and stuff. So like I didn't really know what they were talking about, but that's what they were talking about. They're like, so like, what do you wear there? I'm like, what do you mean, what do I wear there? Like I wear my clothes that I'm wearing here. I was like, what are you saying? Like that's what I said to them. I was like, what do you mean? Like, do we live in teepees and shit? Like, do we live like, and then they're like, yeah, like, well, how is it? How do you live there? Like, do you have electricity there? And I was like, yeah. we live in houses there. Like, it's like regular, like here, but it's a lot smaller. We don't live in fucking teepees. Like, we have houses with lights and shit. Like, what do you think? And then they're like, oh. I was like, are you guys serious? Like, that's what you really thought? You thought that we lived in teepees with no fucking lights, and you thought we rode horses around instead of driving cars? And they were like, yeah, like that's what we thought it was like in the res. I'm like, well, that's not what it's like in the res. Like, that is incorrect. So yeah, like that kind of shocked me. I'm sure there's people who still think that, like people who think like that right now, like today, because they just don't know. Like, obviously, if you're not indigenous and like you don't work with indigenous people, or like you don't really have anything to do with indigenous people, you just like you would think that, I guess. I don't know. It's kind of different now from when I was a kid. I don't know if they teach people about reserves and shit like that now, but back then, like with education and stuff, like no one ever really talked about stuff like that. Like, native people basically didn't exist in the fucking education system. Like, I never learned about nothing involving native people when I was going to school, like through elementary school to high school. I never learned about native stuff until like my last year of high school. So like, I guess you can't really blame them for not knowing shit, and not because they weren't taught it, you know. But yeah, like that was pretty fucking shocking to me. And I wanted to talk about something else that happened that I was thinking about. It's something like this, like some kind of myth about living in the res, but I don't remember what it is. Okay, I don't really remember what I was gonna talk about. It was something about the res anyways, like what the fuck was I gonna fucking say?
I don't remember. I can't remember.
Fuck, what was I gonna talk about, man?
Oh, I remember. I remember now. Oh my god, I remember. Okay. Fuck, I remember. This has totally to do with what I was talking about. Like horses and shit. People don't know what the fuck goes on in the res, and they think it's like old style and shit like that. Oh my god, I totally just remembered. When I was in grade 11, maybe. I don't know. I think I was in grade 11 or I was in grade 10. Pretty sure I was in grade 11. They have this program at the university in my city. And that was when I was in grade 11 though. So like I was living in the res. So after grade 8, I told you I lived in the city for grade 7 and 8. I moved back to my res in grade 9. I got like recommended for some kind of science program at this university. What you do is you go to the university and you spend like a week there. You get to sleep in the dorms and stuff. It's for indigenous students, like indigenous high school students. And they send indigenous high school students from all over Canada to come to this university, and like they all spend a week there together. They go into these different studies of science and whatever, and you learn about science at the university. There was different groups from like all over Canada. Like you had indigenous students from like Sask, from like Alberta, from like BC, like from every province. They had indigenous students come to this university, and like we all spent the week together doing shit. They put us in groups, like not groups with people from our same reserve. They put us in groups with like different students from like the different provinces and stuff, so like we could all get to know each other and talk and shit. So I was in this group with this girl. She wasn't from a different province. She was actually from the city. Except she was I think she was Métis, or maybe she was indigenous. She was either Métis or indigenous, I'm not sure.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
I mean, Métis or indigenous. Indigenous people are Métis people. What am I saying? She was either Métis or First Nation is what I'm saying. But she never went to the reserve or nothing like that. Like, you could... I don't remember if she told me that. I think she did tell me that she never went to the reserve, or like she wasn't really involved with her culture. I was like, okay, like, yeah, I get it. That's how some people are. Like, they just don't know much about their indigenous heritage, and that's fine. We were at the university, and I was in this girl's group. She was actually from this city, so like not too far from, well, kind of far, but she was like from this city. She wasn't from out of province. She was from this city, and she knew about like First Nations people and reserves around the city, but she has never been there before. She didn't really know much about the reserve or First Nations people. Like, I would hear her talking and shit because I was in her group, right? So I would hear her talking, and she would like say the most craziest shit ever. Like, she would assume shit. Okay, here's an example. I was it was like about to fucking rain, you know? Like, I could see, like, it was a nice beautiful blue day, but I could see like far away, not too far, but like I could see the rain clouds and they were fucking coming towards us, and I'm like, it's gonna fucking rain. She was like, what? How do you know it's gonna rain? I'm like, well, like, the fucking rain clouds are over there and they're coming this way. And she's like, oh my god, like, you can tell the weather? Like, how do you know that? And I'm like, cause I can see the rain clouds. Like, and she's like, so like you're like, you know about nature? I'm like, no, like, I can see the rain clouds and they're coming here. And then like later on it did rain because obviously I seen the fucking rain clouds coming. And she's like, how did you know it was gonna rain? That's crazy. Like, you do know nature. And I'm like, no, I don't. Like, I guess I do know nature because I can see the clouds coming, but that's like common fucking sense. Or maybe she just didn't know that. I don't know. Anyways, yeah, like, she thought I could tell the fucking weather because of nature or something. Like, I heard the thunderbirds coming to, like, they were speaking to me.
We're gonna make the thunder come and it's gonna rain. Like,
That's what she fucking thought. My res, it's like 8 hours away from the city. It's a very long drive. You fucking take a car, you drive on the highway for 8 hours, and then you have to cross on a ferry. Like, it's very short. It's like a 5 minute or less ferry ride across the river. It just needs to take you because we don't have a bridge. So like that's all it is to go to the city from my res. You just have to drive really long for 8 hours. I think we were the only ones from up north, like northern reserves. So like that's what I mean. Like, people kind of thought that we were like that we're really resi because we come from up north where it's like a little more isolated and we're not really close to like urban shit. She didn't know that I was from that res though. Like, I didn't really tell her because she was just saying like absurd shit and I would just listen to her, and she didn't know that I was from that res. Like, I didn't tell her because I just wanted to see like what the fuck else she would say. Like, the people who are in our group, like our teachers who were supposed to be teaching us for that week, they were asking her like questions because like she was saying that she was First Nations. Like, which is fine. Like, yeah, you are First Nations. That's cool. But like, you don't need to be telling people things that you don't know if they're true or not. The people in our group were asking her like, so where are you from? Like, how did you get here? Like, what do you think about the campus? And like how long did it take you to get here and stuff like that? She's like, oh, I'm just from here. It actually took me like 20 minutes to get here. I don't live too far from here. And she's like, but you know what? I think there's people here in this program and they're from up north, like the reserves up north. I think they came here by boat. And like, she didn't know that you drive here like a regular fucking, like, you take a car, my guy. What the hell? So like, she was telling people that we traveled from our reserve by boat. Like, what does that in your mind? What do you think? Like, why do you think that we came here by boat? I mean, I get it. I get it. Like I said before, you like, people, they're not educated on these things, and like, you don't learn about it in school. And then like, if you have family who's not indigenous and like they don't know either, like, they're not gonna tell you like, oh no, you can get there by car. She really thought that we traveled I don't even know how long it would take to travel from my res by boat. Back in like the fucking like 1800s is when they would have like traveled by boat. Like we've had a road for a very long time, like since before I was born. Like when my mom was like a little kid, they had a road. So like we've been in res people, indigenous people, First Nations people, we are very much civilized. We don't travel around on like canoes or whatever that girl thought. Why would you say that? Why would you tell them that we came here by boat? And I was like shy. Like I wasn't as shy. Like I could talk if I wanted to, but like I did, like that made me feel just, I don't know, like I didn't want to correct her because I didn't want to be rude to her. I'm wondering, like that's not a thing. Like we don't travel around by boat. I'm wondering like what kind of boat that she thought we went on, like a kind of boat with a motor, like, you know, like, or like a canoe. Did she think that we all like got in our little buckskin dresses and canoed our way all the way down the fucking huge lake just to come to this program? Are you dumb? Or did she think we came on a fucking cruise ship? Like, why do you think this? Just kidding. It's obvious why she thinks that. Like it's not widely known about things about the people from the reserve and stuff like that. I could tell another story. Maybe I'll save that for later. Maybe I'll do like a series about when I was a university student, because I did move from the res to the city to go to university, and that's how I got out here, and that's why I live here right now, because I went to university out here and then I graduated and then I just decided not to go back to the res. And I've been out here ever since. But like some things happened when I was in university as well, involving this type of thing where people like they're just not aware of res life and they're not aware of reserves and what it's like there and like how people are that they come from there. Like we don't live in teepees over there. We don't ride horses. I have a room. It looks like this room in the res. Like I have a house. It's very nice in the res. It's not a teepee. I don't take a horse to get there. I do not drive around on a canoe to get back to the city. Indigenous people, we have technology. We have cars. We have internet. I was gonna tell you guys something else about university, and like professor made me feel really stupid when I was talking about res life and shit. But I'll tell that story another time. This was like my little story about res myths, I guess you can say. Not myths, maybe like res misinformation, because indigenous people are hidden in mainstream education in Canada. So yeah, that's just two ridiculous things that people thought about the res that I know of. So yeah, like and subscribe if you ever experience someone saying wild stuff about living in a res, or like some type of misinformation that you've ever heard of that non-indigenous or indigenous people have like believed about the res. You can leave it in the comments. Peace out. That's my story about miscommunications on the res.